Hello, what's up, everyone? Here we are, the B+Ball Boy Podcast. Very excited, episode 8. Let's get into it. How are we doing, boys?
Doing well, thank you.
Bracket busted, chilling with the boys. Couldn't ask for anything more.
Commiserating with the fellows.
I feel like my entire Final Four is out.
Oh no. Okay.
I think
Eric still got his guy.
I got Kansas and Nova still alive in the Final Four. So
yes, sir.
I know. I had Tech and Baylor and Arizona, and they're all out.
Yeah. I know my champion was Auburn, and I think I had UCLA going to the Final Four, and so it's not a good day.
Not looking good.
Yeah.
We're more NBA guys.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So without much further ado, I guess we'll kick it off in the standard way. We'll talk some players who've been pushing P. In a rare turn of events, I'm gonna show my guy Westbrook some love. This past Monday against the Cavs, he was not bricking too much, honestly. Only missed 4 out of 6 threes. So 33%, we can live with that from him. His assist to turnover ratio, 11-1. Very nice. That'll work. And he chipped in 20 points, plus minus a 23. I know that LeBron, sort of highlighted, got all the love with literally the dunk on K-Love. But Westbrook is can be a nice little Robin sometimes. So we'll see. But when he does well, wanna shout it out.
I think you mean to say, well, we'll see him in a different uniform next year.
I mean, I'm still rooting for that, but at this point, we're locked in for the season.
Yeah.
I just want to throw Wenyen Gabriel in there.
Okay.
What a pickup!
That's true. That is true.
My player I will go with who's been pushing P is Drew Holiday. First of all, I thought that he should have been an all-star over Chris Middleton, but that's okay. We move. This week he had 27 points and 7 assists versus the Bulls in a blowout win. If you're a good team, you beat the Bulls, so that's not as important as the next one, which is he played a game versus the Wizards. I know the Wizards are not great, but without Chris or Giannis, and he had 24 points and 10 assists, and they pull out a win versus the Wizards without the other 2 all-star level players on their team.
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking like they might take the 1 seed this weekend.
That's true.
So it's a big week from Drew, in my opinion.
Was that some reluctance to call it a big 3 that I caught there?
Me?
Yeah, you said 3 all-star level players. I just didn't know if you're.
I guess they are a big 3, but not in the way that like other big 3s used to be big 3s.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like the Cavs big 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. Or like this is like they might have like one of the only real big 3s in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So they are a big 3. But he was missing the other 2 players. He pulled out a win in a game that they're supposed to win, but still, For
sure. Yeah, no, it's impressive. He's doing well. What you got, Eric?
My player pushing P this week was Jordan Poole when they played the Heat earlier in the week. Warriors were without Steph, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson. Jordan Poole, 10 for 18 from the field, 7 for 13 from 3. Say what you want about the Heat's recent struggles, which we'll get into later. I mean, someone's got to step up, and Jordan Poole definitely did that. He had 9 assists, and he's plus 19 on the floor, so shout out to him.
Absolutely. Good guy. So we're going to take it to a new little segment here we're going to try to introduce, where we each pick a leg in a parlay, and we're going to bet that, so we definitely track it. And we're all set. We have skin in the game. And we're just going to do this, I think, every week. Seems like it'll be fun. So what I picked was Nets money line against Miami tonight, -160. Heat culture in question. We'll get to it later. I think enough's enough for the Nets. They want to at least get up to the 7, fight against, make sure they don't fall to the 9 seed. The vaccine mandates uplifted. I don't know where it is now, but Kyrie can play in any game now. So, let's see what the guys can do. I think they're going to bounce back here.
I like that pick. This game is in Miami too, so I don't know when that repeal of the mandate becomes effective, but I know Kyrie for sure is playing, and the Heat just lost last night. So I like that pick. I've gone with the Pelicans, a little alternate spread for you just to save a couple points. -4.5 Pelicans versus the Spurs. The Pelicans have been killing bad teams lately. And the Spurs are not a good team, let's be honest, even if I like them. The Pelicans knew they've just been doing super well. And the line opened at -5.5 and moved to -6.5. I feel like we're pretty safe at -4.5. So I wanted to throw that one in there because I feel like the Pelicans are going to win this one. Not convincingly, but somewhat handily. It's -155. By the way, I just want to throw in the restriction I asked for was -200 or better, just for clarity. So I mean, we're all there, but I just wanted to say that out loud.
Okay. What you got, Eric?
My leg of the parlay, I got Kings Magic over 221.5. The team looked a lot different than it does now, but the last time these two teams played, the Kings won 140 to 132. Both teams are pretty bad teams. I think this is a good opportunity for each team to, just jack up some shots, not play a ton of defense. And and I know De'Aaron Fox is out for the Kings, but he does limit them in terms of 3-point shooting. His percentage is pretty poor. So I think that gives guys like Harrison Barnes, who are shooting 3 at a much better clip, to, just have an absolute shootout. That's what I'm betting on really tonight.
A track meet. This is a track meet.
It's a track meet. I was thinking that. Okay.
Don't get it twisted.
It's applicable in this sport as well. Okay.
Both these teams are absolutely terrible, but let's hope for this parlay to show that.
Yeah, I feel like our only risk there is that they just miss a ton of shots rather than not get a bunch of shots. I feel like they're gonna play at a fast pace.
Yeah. So that combines to approximately +410 odds. And
I have placed this on a platform, no free clout. I have placed it.
On a platform.
Yes, I have put it, and we will talk about how we did, and we'll talk about how we did next week.
Absolutely. Cool. We'll move to our next very short, maybe not even a topic, but worth a mention. So there was a report yesterday that if the Clippers survive the play-in, and playoff P can return to the lineup, Kawhi might push it and come back. So the Clippers right now are sitting at +6,500, so 65 to 1 odds for the title. I would think, obviously, there's a lot of ifs baked into this. That's why it's 65 to 1. But if they can be what they were in the playoffs last year when they were both healthy, within a few games, I think that they're maybe only number 2 to the Suns in the conference. They could get to the Western Conference Finals, and who knows, anyone's game. And then depending on how much the East beats up on each other, whoever represents the East might be a little beat up. So, just something to think about. A little sprinkle maybe, but Marco's advised me to stay away. So just want to
and I want to give my reasoning. My reasoning is just Kawhi Leonard has not played professional basketball in a year.
Fair.
That is it. Paul George, I trust that he can come back and be fine. Norman Powell, the reports was that Norman Powell would come back, but he said on his Twitter that he possibly wasn't. Or he said that those reports were not based off of what he was actually feeling. But the main thing is Paul George and Kawhi. We know that after an ACL tear, like the first few games are not great.
Wait, wasn't it a partial MCL or was it ACL?
I thought it was an ACL tear. Either way, he had knee surgery and has missed a year. You know what I mean? I would expect his first few games to not be Kawhi Leonard-esque, especially if he doesn't get this offseason to work. So, I mean, think about it. Like, if they get out of the play-in, they'd probably be playing my Grizzlies or the Suns in the first round with a Kawhi Leonard that is just finding his way back to professional basketball. I just can't be. The thing is, it's plus 6,500, so it's not even worth talking about how unlikely it is. Like, I feel like it's technically possible.
Right.
If that's good enough for you, then I get it. But
I think it's better than the implied probability, but maybe not. I want to give you your credit. It is the ACL. I was wrong.
Knee surgery. However, I will say, I think the Clippers will be title favorites in the summer for 2023, and I probably will be betting on the Clippers to win the title in 2023.
I like it.
Possibly as soon as the futures open up.
As soon as the confetti rains down.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Eric, anything on that one? Or no?
I think if you look at the list of players, to echo what Marco's saying about next season, you have a really solid roster of players if everyone's healthy next year. I think if you have, you know what, I think it'd be a waste of money, but if you have a couple bucks for plus, what is it, 6,500? I mean, fine, but like it's plus 6,500 for a reason. So, but yeah,
them being up like 3-2 in the first round, and me being like, why didn't I place this? And like me being like, I can see the run now. You know, I don't know, but
they have to get all the way.
I know, but I'd be like, oh, the run is beginning. I don't know.
Is Kawhi Leonard going to jump in and play 36 minutes a game, 40 minutes a game after knee surgery? I just don't think so.
Also, putting Kawhi and pushing it in the same sentence.
Yeah,
it will never make sense.
I don't know even why they've entertained this idea.
Right.
But I don't think it's going to happen, to put it plainly.
We got to cue the Kawhi laughing meme.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay. Well, that was that.
I had to talk you down from the D-Gen edge there. You know?
Right. Bring me back.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on. So on Monday, the Sixers played the Heat, and ostensibly they tried to lose, and it seems like they were trying to duck. And it seems like they're trying to start maneuvering the seeding here. They sat both Harden and Embiid. Unfortunately, or yes, fortunately for them, they won. Despite that, Maxey went off. I think they're trying to avoid Brooklyn. You know, people have been saying this. It makes sense. Brooklyn just literally put on a track meet on them. Katie said that they were watching tape of Philly, and if they're slow, they can get run on. And that's just the fact. I don't think they're getting to somehow get very much faster in like 2 weeks here. But what are your guys' thoughts? Are the Sixers scared? 1 to 10? How scared? I put them at like an 8.
You know, just like how I feel about the current setup of the team. When they played the Lakers, when was that? A couple nights ago? Like Wednesday. It was Wednesday.
Okay.
They
The
played the
Lakers played well
Lakers.
in that game. The Lakers played well in that game, except for Russ, but he had a good week overall. So we'll ignore that one.
Harden, it seemed like he had an injury, something with his leg, and I'm like, and I think my reaction to that is like, I think this team right now is like very thin in that, like, if Embiid or Harden goes down, it's kind of like, if you're in a 7-game series, it's like probably over, just considering like the competition they'll have to face, especially deeper in the playoffs. I mean, you could say that about any team, but it just like, you would take the Bucks, for example. I think we all can agree that the Bucks have more depth than the Sixers. Now, if Giannis goes out, it's the same effect, like it's the same magnitude of like, if Giannis or Embiid went out, it's like, okay, what is this team supposed to do? But in terms of depth, I think the Bucks, I think there are more teams in the East that have are deeper on their roster than the Sixers. I think the Sixers, Seth Curry, they only traded Seth Curry and Drummond, like players on their team, but like, and they got rid of Ben Simmons, who could have played, but I mean, yeah.
That's not played yet.
Right. So I'm worried. I think the fact that it's been a struggle for them recently, and like they're kind of hanging by a thread in terms of like, you have Embiid with an injury history that's not favorable, and there have been concerns about Harden in the playoffs. I would be pretty scared if I'm a Sixers fan this year.
And you have to give Harden like a 5-year contract this summer probably.
Yeah.
That is going to be one of the largest contracts ever. So I mean, I guess, well, first I want to say, if Embiid goes out, you trust the Sixers supporting. Let's say you have to win one game with Embiid out.
It's a game 7, or it's an elimination game.
Let's say you're up 3-2 in the series. You got to win one of the last 2 games with Embiid out.
Last 2. Okay.
And I bring this up for a reason, by the way. But let's say you're up 3-2. Embiid is going to be out for just a few days. You got to win one game with Embiid out. Do you trust Harden plus supporting cast to win you this game?
No.
Now let me put you're up 3-2. You're the Bucks. Do you trust Chris and Drew and supporting cast to come through? And they quite literally did that against the Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I know the Hawks are like not doing so great this year, but that Hawks team last year was quite good.
Yeah.
Chris and Drew pulled out like a big game, and Bobby Portis too pulled out a big game in Atlanta to close that series out without Giannis. So I'm not saying like okay, like if Embiid's gonna be out the whole playoffs, like you're done, right? Like and it's fine. Like no one would hold that against you, I think. But sometimes you just gotta win like one game without a guy. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure they could do it without him. But to Will's original question, which is, are the Sixers scared of the Nets? Is that the question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they scared of the Nets? I mean, I can see it as they were trying to get a rest game for Harden and Embiid. That game they beat the Heat, but I can also see it as they're trying to get into the Heat's bracket rather than the Nets bracket, which I mean, right now it looks like it might be the same one, but it's going to be a little difficult to place yourself in the right bracket, because if you think about it, the Nets are probably going to have to play a play-in game in Toronto. And that game will decide. Yeah, that game will decide that whether they're the 7 or the 8 seed. I have no doubt that they'd win the game for the 8 seed if they lost in Toronto. So 7 or 8 for sure. That puts you in 2 separate brackets. It's almost impossible to dodge them. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're basically waiting for a coin flip to see whether you're playing them or not. Maybe you would like to control your other hypothetical matchups, but I also kind of think that if you're dodging a team, you can try to control the bracket to make things easier on you, and I don't think that's bad. right? But if you're actively like dodging a team / like scared of a team, like that's not a championship mentality, in my opinion.
Right.
And I've seen this said that like you shouldn't care about your matchup at all. I don't think that's true. You should want to make things as easy as possible, since a lot of this is going to end up being luck based, and you want to increase your chances. However, you should be ready to play anybody, and I can't say for sure that they're dodging the nets, but they shouldn't be. If that's the case, then I don't think that's a serious team. You know,
Right.
Agreed.
That's
I
fair.
don't think Joel Embiid is dodging the nets.
Well,
I want to put that out there.
Just like to further your point, like last year there were two like noteworthy stories about like teams trying to position themselves in the playoffs. It was like, oh, the Clippers are ducking the Lakers until the Western Conference Finals, since we thought like AD is going to come back and what Lakers were going to be what the Lakers were 2 years ago. They ducked them, and then they get like, they don't win. They don't even make it to the finals. But then the Heat the Bucks could have tried to duck the Heat, but they didn't. Then they played them in the first round and they swept them, and then they won it all.
And people questioned that decision, and
they were like,
them.
Why did they do that? Like they just got upset literally upset 4-1 last year. Like they should be a little timid here, but they're like, no, we're a different team.
Let me throw one more scenario in there for you. I'm pretty sure that Denver did intentionally lose a game or pretty close to it at the end of the season. And they ended up facing Portland, which I think is who they wanted, and they won the series. So and it didn't work out for the Clippers. They wanted the Mavericks, and the Mavericks, like, they're even a bad matchup for that Mavericks team. And the Mavs took them to 7 just because, I mean, by wanting a team, you kind of motivate them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like it could just go a lot of different directions. Like I said, you could pick the matchup almost and win the series. You can pick the matchup and get taken to 7 when you wanted an easy one. You can pick the matchup and sweep them. You know, but one of those teams won the championship for other reasons than just that. But I kind of feel like their mentality was part of it. So
mentality is the biggest piece here, I think.
You should be ready to play anybody, I think.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like want to see them this early, you should be at least ready to play them whenever.
Facts.
So we have the next topic. Kyrie's back.
Okay.
Well, the obligatory Nets talk. I feel like he held out and he won. What are your thoughts, Marco? I know you're opinionated on this.
The Yankees won for him. I want to point that out. They wouldn't have changed anything if it meant that Yankees players couldn't play, or they only changed it because Yankees players couldn't play. To be clear, so he did get some help from, and I do think that this is funny that they rushed to change this to make sure that like a random Yankees like bench player could play. I don't know exactly who it is on the Yankees, right? But they would do this to make sure that the entire roster, like how many people are in a baseball roster, like almost 40, that the entire almost 40-man roster of the Yankees could play, rather than Kyrie Irving, who's the star of the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, so Kyrie can play on the basketball court. And yeah, I'm just reluctant to say that he won, by the way.
Because I can tell.
I think him winning is like ultimately bad for society, but whatever. It'll be cool to see him on a basketball court.
Yeah.
He is wonderful to watch, and I had fun watching him on Wednesday against my Grizzlies. I'll have fun watching him today against the Heat.
You haven't even gloated yet. It took half plus an hour to gloat about that, and that wasn't even really a gloat.
You know how it is. The Grizzlies,
when you've been that team.
When they don't have Ja, they're locked in to a different level. Absolutely on fire shooting that game. But you know, it looks like we got the 2 seed locked up, so nothing to gloat about. You know, we'll see probably Golden State at home for game 1 in the second round. That's that's nice for me. I'll be there.
Really?
Okay, probably.
Nice.
I'll make an effort to be there.
Heck yeah.
I guess I put obligatory Nets talk. I just want to say, like, we haven't seen Ben Simmons yet. I'm not sure that we will. He has a herniated disc. However, I mean, and you saw it on Wednesday, Kyrie and KD are still scary. So are they, how does this obviously changes the math, right? Like this changes who you think is most likely to come out. I still have the Bucks, but do any of you guys have the Nets?
To come out? No. I mean, see, like they could, depending on the seeding, like it could, wait, let me do the math here. Could they face in the Eastern Conference Finals or the semis? Would that be how it works?
Bucks, Nets?
Yeah.
They might see each other in the first round.
Yeah,
I mean,
if
if the Bucks keep climbing, yeah.
Yeah, I have Bucks probably ending up as the 1 seed. Keep in mind, the Bucks are currently tied in losses with Miami.
With the 1 seed, yeah.
Right.
That's
and
true.
you can't make up losses, right?
Right.
So as the Bucks could take the 1 seed pretty soon here. They might even take it tonight.
That's true.
But that would mean that you see the Nets maybe in the 1-8 if they lose in Toronto in the play-in game. Maybe you don't. Maybe you see Toronto.
Well, see, I think the Nets would have some urgency to win the first play-in game then. Like, I think that they're not like, I mean, I guess that'd be ducking the Bucks, but like also you're trying to win that game anyways. So
you want to win the game so you don't play a win or go home game.
Yeah, right.
Now keep in mind, Kyrie can play in home games. He can play in away games, except for away games in Toronto.
Correct.
So he will not be in that game. This would be like a KD carry job. I don't anticipate Ben Simmons coming back. By the way, I don't think Ben Simmons is ducking playing. I just want to be clear.
I think he's just hurt now.
Yeah. And if you've ever been like inactive for a long period of time and then restarted being active, you know, that probably stunk. And he is a professional athlete who has had back problems before, who went from being probably relatively inactive to trying to ramp up to play professional ball. It makes sense that he herniated a disc to me.
That's fair.
Eric, how does the math change for you? Are the Nets close to favorites in the East? Are they?
They're closer, but I give the nod to like the Bucks just because I'm a big proponent of like chemistry and ramp. Like you're exactly right. Like ramping up physical activity for a player that's been out for a while. Not only do you have to get ready physically, but you know, it's you have to develop chemistry with players. I think KD, he has great rapport with his team. I mean, he's been the only consistent thing around the Nets. I mean, we all marvel at Kyrie, but in a 7-game series, I don't see him being able to drop 50 a night.
That's true.
I mean, they'll have to be. Listen, he was dropping 50 against the Magic. There's no team that they're going to play in the playoffs that is as poor as the Magic. So I think, I mean, look at perfect example. Look at what happened when they played the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, one of the best teams, overall teams in the NBA. Even without Ja Morant, they're a solid team. They do a lot of basic things like rebounding. They rebound extremely well. And it's not always about
in that, yeah.
Yeah, it's not always about like the points that you can put up. I think the Grizzlies and other teams as well have proven that if you play team basketball, then you can be a really good team. So I'm giving the nod to the Bucks if they're healthy. I just think that there's too many not holes, but there's no chemistry. Right. There's no chemistry, and I think it's going to hurt them in the end. especially if they play a team like the Bucks that have just been. I mean, look at the Celtics. I think the big reason why that they were able to, the reason that they've been able to rally in the later half of the season, I don't believe it's been like, it's not like Jason Tatum's pouring on 50 a night or anything. It's because they've come together as a team. I mean, Jason Tatum's been outstanding, but still, I think it comes from that team. I'm gonna give the nod to the teams out there. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And I mean, it wouldn't be Nets talk without mentioning their defense. Against the Grizzlies, we saw the Grizzlies shoot better than they normally do. Like, let's be honest, they made more threes than they normally do, but that can happen any night. You know, KD and Kyrie, you know, they can make your team put up 120, but then you give up 130. Now, playoff games are probably going to be a little lower scoring each way, but eventually I just feel like they won't be able to get the stops necessary.
Right.
You know, and some team is going to outscore them at just a little bit higher rate. And I think that would be the Bucks, because the Bucks get stops. I know their defense hasn't been great this season, but they got Brook Lopez back and he looks good. You know, some team is going to get enough stops because the Nets don't get enough stops. Or you know, they're just going to be able to take advantage of the fact that the Nets don't get enough stops. Ben Simmons, should he play, should help a lot with that. Are they going to be a top 5 defense all of a sudden? I don't think so. Could they be a top enough defense? I think possibly, but not this year. Next year, I would be thinking maybe their defense would be good enough. So this year, you know, it'll be fun to watch Kyrie play. They're probably going to need to put up a ton of points. They're probably going to be must watch, you know, having KD and Kyrie just get buckets. But I don't see them as coming out of the East. I would even put the Celtics ahead of them.
Whoa.
To credit Eric.
There you go. There you go.
Shout out to the teams, man.
The Celtics, I mean, they're tearing teams apart. It's not even close. It's not even close when they take the floor. Utah tore them up. Denver tore them up. I mean, who else? Like, they're tearing everybody up. It's not even close. Their defense
Coach of the year, maybe.
They just had too bad of a start. I feel like
the start was pretty poor.
I wouldn't be against it. I guess I wouldn't be totally against it. I kind of feel like you got to give it to either Monty, best record in the league. I mean, they've been missing guys right and left, or my guy Taylor Jenkins. Obviously the Grizzlies outperformed expectations by a lot, but the 16-2 record without Ja, you got to give a lot of that to coaching, even though the players are really good as well. But you know, you don't get that record without your star player, without a really good coaching staff. So Udoka, I mean, I'd put him above Billy Donovan at this point.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think the Bulls start is not as impressive as the way the Celtics are playing in the later half.
The Celtics finish is more impressive than the Bulls start.
Correct.
I agree with that.
Correct.
Yep.
And I do have some thoughts on the Bulls. I almost put Cavs over Bulls into our parlay here, but
I was looking at that too. I was looking at that.
So I asked about the Celtics. I put as maybe the second best team in the league. So I have to move on to the Heat real quick.
Okay.
I am a known Heat hater. Okay. And I say hater like in a little bit of a playful way, but I'm lower on the Heat than most people are most of the time. I think their ability to score is maybe not what it needs to be. And I've always been a little bit of a Heat culture skeptic. Look, their guys do a ton of cardio. They play pretty hard. They play really hard. And they're really good at finding undrafted guys, which I think matters a little less in the playoffs, like how you find undrafted guys, but, you know, helps with them playing through injury. Let me ask you guys a question. Are the Heat the fifth best team in their conference. They're the 1 seed right now. Are the Heat the fifth best team in the East?
Let's run it down. Let's run down the East standings right now.
Yeah.
The Heat are number 1.
Should we start at the play-in? Like go up?
No, let's start from the top. Let's start from the top.
The Heat are number 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Are the Sixers better than the Heat? Would you take this in the playoffs? Would you take the Sixers over the Heat? So let's say they're both healthy.
I'm gonna say this. I think the Heat and Sixers are both fakers right now where they're standing. I don't believe that they should be 1 and 2, but I'm taking the Sixers. Right now.
Mm-hmm. I'm taking the Sixers by a hair. I'm not calling them fakers, but I'm taking the Sixers by a hair.
I'm saying they're fakers in terms of like you compare 1 and 2 in the West versus 1 and 2 in the East. It's like Suns and Grizzlies. That were cool. Like yes, and then we're Heat, Sixers were like
right.
Yeah. Okay. I know. Yeah. I understand what you mean there. I guess I'm not calling them frauds. Or you're not calling them frauds either, right? I might be like calling them a fraud 1 seed, like for fun.
I agree.
Because,
they're a fraud 1 seed. They're not a bad team, but they're not. I don't think you'd think of them as a 1 seed. But anyway, yeah.
So 1 team we got better than the Heat.
Yeah.
Sixers. Do we all agree? Will, do you agree?
I think the Heat. Well, this is more on coaching. I think Spoelstra would definitely beat Doc.
He would. I agree with that. Okay.
So I'm leaning Heat on that one. Let's move to the Bucks, though.
I think we can all agree we would take the Bucks over the Heat.
Yeah,
no question.
Bucks over Heat.
No question.
Okay.
I would say
for me and
over Heat pretty quickly.
Okay. I would also. Eric, Celtics over Heat.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now the count is me and Eric have 3 teams that are better than the Heat.
I have 2.
Will has 2.
Yes.
Brooklyn. Is Brooklyn better than the Heat? We took them today in our parlay.
Yeah, Brooklyn is better than the Heat.
Yeah, with Kyrie being able to play in a 7-game series, Kyrie being able to play at home. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that gives me and Eric 4 teams we think are better than the Heat, which would make them the 5th best team in the conference. Will has them as the 4th best team in the conference. But they're the 1 seed. We'll see how long that lasts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, keep in mind, I'm hating just a little bit, and when I say hating, like I mean in a fun way, of course, But we all saw that little argument between Jimmy Butler and Udonis Haslam.
Yeah, very
UD. No blows.
Do we think that's
Yeah,
it did not. It did not. Like, it did not. Do we think that is how serious do we think that is?
Well, I think it is pretty serious. I think in the sense that Butler comes in there, thinks he's bigger, or thinks he is Heat culture, but it's Heat culture is Spoelstra. It's it's the administration.
Udonis Haslam.
Yeah, it's UD. You may. Well, I don't even know at this point. I think Bam's probably better than him, but he's their biggest star, right? That's all he is. He needs to realize that. But it's hard to realize that if you're such a guy such as Jimmy Butler, and I don't. And he was very bad in the playoffs last year. So I think that irrational confidence, for a guy who's ascending is good, but for him it's not good. He needs to rein it in, be a team player, understand his role.
Not try to fight your coach.
Yeah, I think fighting the coach is a bad look. Yeah.
Okay, so you think it's pretty serious. Eric, what about you?
I think it's just there seems to be a common denominator now with one Jimmy Butler I think it's just I have this thing about NBA players where, oh, let's go. What do you want to do? You're playing basketball. You're playing basketball, you're wearing nice sneakers, you're all like making millions of dollars. And I think, it's like you would think that you carry that mindset. If you carry that mindset, it's only directed towards other teams. But I just think that mindset is not conducive to winning long term and to building a team. I think it's almost like Jimmy Butler is like starting to infect his team with this. And when you like are directing it towards your team, it's like, I think it's hard to like move past it. I mean, we don't know the details of what was said, but look at Kevin Durant and Draymond Green when Draymond was, what did he say? What did he say to him?
Called him the B word, I think.
Yeah, Draymond called him that, yeah.
But then KD, when they asked KD like years later, oh, did that have an effect on you wanting to leave? He's like, yeah. So I don't think Eric Spoelstra could say, oh, we get over it and all this stuff. But we have seen that when you direct that kind of energy and anger towards your team, there are consequences to that you might not realize till a year or two later. So I think we have to see how it plays out. I guess this is a test of the quote unquote heat culture, right? Mm-hmm. Like we see like, oh yeah, we're gonna like, train ourselves and be a healthy team and not let anyone slack off. But I mean, is that a culture that you can like get through things with like this? I don't know. So I'm gonna keep an eye out on it. But Jimmy Butler is just like, I get so annoyed when these players just want to fight each other. Because it's like,
yeah,
come on.
But you didn't even want to fight Haslam. You wanted to fight his coach.
Yeah.
And then
that's another thing too. Really, that you're such a tough guy, you got to fight. Like, come on.
This guy's like,
that's really you're so brave for wanting to fight a 50-year-old man.
Right.
And you're 30 something. Good for you. You're so tough, Jimmy. Come on, man.
It's crazy. I think that was a very strange behavior, right? But okay, these guys, we know that the Heat players are competitors, and maybe it was a heat of the moment thing. I think there's a small chance that it's just nothing, and they're just competing and had a couple bad stretches and everything. But more likely than that, this is gonna matter to me, because if you want to win in the playoffs, if you want to get 16 wins in the playoffs, you have to be so on the same page that I just think that even if they get over it personally, even if it's, oh, you and me are good after that, like it was just a heat of the moment thing, they're clearly not on the same page with each other. Exactly. And they're running out of time to get on the same page. Right. I was listening to a podcast with Zach Lowe and David Thorpe, and David Thorpe is a former coach who's familiar with the Miami guys, and he said that Jimmy Butler in Philadelphia, part of the reason that he wanted to leave was because the coach Brett Brown was always telling him, get it into Joel, get it into the big guy, you know what I mean? And it's not that Jimmy Butler wasn't going to do that. It's just that he didn't want to be told to do that. He just wanted to like read the game, right, and get it into Joel. So he would be like, I know, like, get it into Joel. Like, I didn't want to be micromanaged like that, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Spo is one of the best coaches in the league. Like, if he has a plan, I feel like you should execute it, regardless of what player you are. Mm-hmm. So it's not new for Jimmy Butler to have a disagreement with a coach. It is a little bit new for him to challenge him to a fight, as far as I know. Yes. And to me, that's not if we're believing what Coach Thorpe said on that podcast, it's not something that came out of nowhere, right? Like it's some disagreement that they had about the way that they were doing things that is now maybe boiled over a little bit. So to me, it's just not nothing. You know, it's
Yeah.
not nothing. They better get on the same page. They better get locked in. You're gonna need to go to battle. You're gonna need to be on a string with each other.
Mhm.
So to me, but I don't think it's like everything. Like I don't think like this is a Heat collapse, right? I'm just saying
think they're
you
the
better
ones-
get this fixed.
Yeah.
And as much as I like Kyle Lowry, he just bailed. He was watching the video. He just walks away. Like
I mean, he is a little
maybe
small guy though. Maybe he knew like, all right, the big guys are playing.
maybe you gotta, I don't know, maybe you just gotta intervene and be like, what are we doing here? Right? Because you got your coach throwing a clipboard down and your star player being like, I want to fight you to the coach. Like Haslam, keep in mind, Haslam is just protecting the coach in this argument. Like it was argument between Spo and Jimmy, really.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's nothing, which is maybe part of the reason that I'm like the Heat are the 5th best team in the conference. Like they can get and they were missing Tyler Hero. They can get locked in and maybe do better than that. I'm not saying they're incapable of it. I'm just saying get on the same page and quickly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I agree. They got to figure it out.
One more quick topic here is Cat. After this argument, is Cat vindicated?
Oh, I think so. A little bit. I mean, Wiggins definitely seems like, he was sort of disinterested, but like Cat is a little vindicated, I think. Jimmy's a hard guy to deal with.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I think that's I guess I don't have a strong opinion, but probably Cat is vindicated. Probably even before this, but I think in the eyes of a lot of people, probably after this, Cat is a little bit vindicated for what went down in Minnesota. I don't know, Eric. What do you think?
I can't remember exactly what. I know that there was like a thing happening in practice where Jimmy. What did Jimmy Butler say?
You guys can't win without me. It was like embarrassing them. Like apparently, probably for a long time, like calling them out for like not working as hard as him or whatever. Cat Wiggins, obviously very like talented players. Cat especially.
That was the part that I was trying to remember. Like that, where you said that you can't win without me. I don't care who you are. That's just like not something you say on a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's to me is a red flag for like this is not a good teammate. Mm-hmm. So listen, I was just gonna say I'm very happy for Cat after everything he's been through and just the Timberwolves in general for them to be where they're at in the 7th seed. And I just think I love Pat Bev's energy that he has brought to the Timberwolves. And I think there was a clip. I think it was like not last night, but the night before where, he blocked someone's shot and then they like elbowed him in the face. And then he just got up, and Pat Bev got up immediately and he was like, just like celebrating getting the foul call or something. But no, I guess to answer the question, yeah, I guess Cat is vindicated, dude.
Cat is vindicated.
Yeah.
Wiggins, I'm a little more iffy on. He's been very bad.
That free throw,
bro.
Dude, I was watching Hawks Warriors. They benched him. I was like, is he hurt? He played 22 minutes. They benched him and went with Looney and I think Damian Lee down the stretch. And they ended up losing that game, but they almost came back. They benched Andrew Wiggins. They benched an all-star starter. We were right on here when we said this is a role player masquerading as an all-star starter. Okay, and I will take that to my grave. Okay.
I want to see Anthony Edwards in the All-Star game next year.
Oh,
I think Desmond Bain should have made it, or Jaren Jackson. We have the 2 seed in the West having 1 All-Star.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And Jaren Jackson might be the defensive player of the year. One more thing I want to go over today.
Yes,
the Devin Booker MVP case.
Here we go, Marco. Let it rip.
This is my rant here. This is my moment, I guess. Not every player who is having a good season needs to be in the MVP conversation. what is the MVP conversation? People just say, put this guy in the MVP conversation, put that guy in the MVP conversation. Tell me, what does the MVP conversation actually mean? Does anybody know?
Well,
It's a serious question. Like,
I mean, I'd sort of point to that one Action Network article he sent, which was really good. I mean, historically, right? It's like a top 2 seed, the best player on that team, pretty much. So I mean, I guess. Well, does Booker even fit that criteria? Like, is Chris Paul better than him?
No, he's not, and not in my opinion. I think
Booker
was the better player last year too when they tried to shoehorn Chris Paul in there. But okay, just what I'm trying to get at is like, if the MVP conversation is like who the media talks about for MVP, like that's kind of dumb because the media is like just trying to do stuff for clicks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
sensationalist.
If it's who the voters might actually vote on for MVP, then the answer who they might give a first place vote to, or who might feasibly win it, the conversation is actually very narrow, and it's still the main 3 guys that we've been talking about this whole time, which is Joel, Giannis, and Joker.
Yeah.
And I don't anticipate Ja, DeRozan, Booker jumping into that top 3 because those top 3 guys are so good. You know what I mean? And okay, maybe I've heard the argument we're discounting guards a little bit. I am not discounting Devin Booker's impact on the game, but the truth of the matter is that if you are 6'11" or 7 feet tall, you have a natural advantage when playing basketball. That means that you can impact the game in a different way than a guard can.
Right.
And that's why the league is dominated by guys who are like 6'9" and taller every single year. Think about it. They are the best players in the league. LeBron, Durant, Giannis. Now these 2 centers, Joker and Embiid. Even like Jordan was like 6'6", right? I mean, but like even in his era, Hakeem, you know, Barkley was short, but he played big, right? Like, you know, Shaq. Like, just think of it, like the league is dominant. You have a natural advantage. You are closer to the basket. It's as simple as that, and you can impact the game in a different way. I'm not discounting Booker's season, but I think we just have to stop saying everybody deserves to be in the MVP conversation, because the MVP conversation is fake. It really comes down to 3 guys. Who will the voters vote on? Is it Jokic? Is it Embiid? Is it Giannis? My pick is Giannis because he's going to be on the 1 seed, being maybe also the defensive player of the year, possibly leading the league in scoring. Your pick might be Embiid. Your pick might be Jokic. I'm a Serbian. I wouldn't argue with any of those picks, right? But like, I think that we just have to stop saying that this player having a good season needs to be considered for MVP. If you want to go ahead and say Booker should be first team All NBA, I will gladly hear you out on that one. I will have a discussion with you. Booker deserves to be first team All NBA. First team All NBA, the forwards, Giannis, Joel, Jokic, they will be first team All NBA. It seems like this year the voters will not care about position so much and put those guys first team All NBA. Guards, you got Luka, Ja, Steph, and Booker. In my opinion, I would put Ja and Luka. I have to cape for my guy. If you put Luka and Booker, I will maybe argue with you a little bit, but that's reasonable. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that Booker is the MVP.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
He's so far out of like a credible argument. I feel like
he's having a great season. He's having possibly a first team All NBA season. Those 3 guys who are like the MVP candidates are also like the best 3 players in the league, or 3 of the best 4 players in the league. So do you want to put Booker in that conversation? Do you think Booker is one of the best 3 or 4 players in the league?
No.
I don't either. And that's not disrespect. He's just that good. Like or those guys are just that good. So that is my MVP conversation rant. It's almost as tired as the GOAT debate to me. I do not care who is the GOAT. I do not care who is, fifth place on the MVP ballot that much. Like I think that we just have to be a little realistic about who can possibly win.
I think you're right on. I think you're spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to close it out, Eric? You got anything to add?
Season's almost over, and playoff basketball is almost upon us.
It's exciting. It's very exciting.
This playoffs is going to be special.
It is going to be special.
I'm going to be locked in my room watching every game. So
yes. No, absolutely. I'm excited. We will have a lot of things to say, I'm sure. We'll have our brackets,
yes.
It'll
NBA
be
playoff brackets.
Yes. The true brackets.
And we got to talk NBA awards soon too.
Yeah. Well, so look forward to that, and we'll catch you guys next time. All right, thanks.
See you.